Welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel, I'm going to be reviewing a purchase that I got recently during the Barnes & Noble 50% off sale. And this is a movie that I saw years ago. This movie came out in 1996. And I'm a big art lover. I love modern art, Andy Warhol being one of my favorites, as you can see from the shirt here. I really enjoy his work. And the subject of this film that I'm going to talk about today was a collaborator of his. And this is a movie that is a pretty tough watch. It's a rough movie, but I think it's very honest. And its portrayal of the title person and character in the film is one of those portrayals that I think kind of is one of my favorites, honestly. The movie just pulls no punches at all throughout, and I think it's actually aged really well. And that movie is, of course, Basquiat. And this is starring Jeffrey Wright as Jean-Michel Basquiat. It also stars David Bowie. You've got Dennis Hopper, Gary Oldman, Benicio del Toro, Claire Forlani, Michael Wincott, Parker Posey. Courtney Love is in this movie in a smaller role. Christopher Walken. And it's directed by Julian Schnabel, who was a painter, an artist, before he was a director. And he's done a few movies over the years. But this one, I think, is his best work, in my opinion. This is an all-new 4K transfer done by the Criterion Collection, and it is a 2-disc set. I'll open it up here so you can see. There's the 4K disc here and the standard Blu-ray here. And the reason why I wanted to review this movie was because of the fact that this is a fairly controversial release. Even though I really never met a ton of people who really enjoyed this film, I think there's a lot of people that appreciate it. But this release here, this new 4K, is very interesting because there's actually two different versions of the film across the two discs in this set. The 4K disc, it's an all-new 4K restoration from the original 35mm camera negative. But the thing is this new 4K version is a black and white version of the film. It is not in color. And it does have Dolby Vision HDR and everything, but just the black and white version, this new version, is the only thing that's on that 4K disc. So there is no color version on the 4K. And this was a point of contention when this was released. This didn't come out too long ago. But I wanted to talk about it because very rarely do you see a new version of a movie come out that does something like this. And I thought it was a very interesting choice. I'll get into it more when we talk about the picture quality here. As always, I'll be reviewing the picture quality, the audio quality, and the special features that are inside this set. The whole reason for this new transfer being in black and white instead of the original color was a choice by director Julian Schnabel. And he chose to do the film in black and white after seeing the film at a screening where the projector that was projecting the movie messed up and only showed it in black and white. And Julian was just enamored by this. And so he had this new version done up where there is no color. And it's very interesting because the movie is about someone who was a painter. And, you know, David Bowie plays Andy Warhol in this. And again, another painter known for very, very, unbelievable works. And there's a lot of shots of Basquiat's paintings and even a few moments where he's actually painting something. Now that the film is in black and white, there is no focus on that at all. It is mainly on the characters, which is what Julian really wanted to do. And I will say, it does help in that aspect. The movie now has this unbelievable range of black and white shades, and even some shades of gray. And It may seem weird, but black and white movies on 4K, especially with HDR10 or Dolby Vision like this has, they do bring out a whole new life to these films. I've reviewed a bunch of other black and white movies in the past. Two that really come to mind are Casablanca and The Maltese Falcon. Those are almost completely new films now in 4K, especially with HDR. And this is no different. The movie just looks so beautiful in black and white. The black levels on this disc really do look incredible. They're basically perfect. Shadow detail is beautiful. All the different varying shades of brightness of the whites in this now look really, really impressive. As nice as it looks, I'm kind of not sure that I like it. It really kind of made me feel kind of robbed, honestly, not being able to see this in color, especially since this movie does traditionally have a very vivid color palette. And it was just such a beautiful film that now that that color has been drained away, it's I don't know. I'd have to revisit this again in the future to really decide whether or not it was for me. On first watch again, it looked great. I mean, it really did look incredible. It almost made you imagine what colors were being used in some of the paintings and some of the clothing and stuff like that. But it was weird. It was really weird seeing this movie in black and white, and I don't know if it works, honestly. As good as it looks, I mean, the detail level on this is super high. There's one scene in particular where Jeffrey Wright is walking around. He has his shirt open, and you can see this pretty gnarly scar that's on his stomach. And it really, the detail level leaves nothing to the imagination in this. There's a light to medium layer of film grain all throughout the film, and it looks really, really nice. It just is very stable. Everything is highly detailed, and the movie does have just a beautiful filmic look to it. It's never anything really, really heavy, although there are certain shots of lower resolution footage or, like 8mm tape and stuff like that, or fuzzy television screens that you see time and time again in this movie. And some of those shots purposefully, don't look that great, but that's because you're seeing a lower quality image. But I will say, it really does look great. Now, one thing to note here is the secondary Blu-ray that's in this set, the standard Blu-ray, does have a new 4K digital restoration of the theatrical version of the film. That's the color version. However, I did notice that from time to time in that color version, there are some really weird artifacting issues happening with that version. It's very odd that the black and white version had none of these issues, but the color version was maybe almost an afterthought in this restoration process. It's very vivid. It's very bright. Of course, it's just in standard 1080p. I watched it upscaled to 4K, but it just, I don't know what it is. There were a couple scenes where I noticed almost like a blurry haze in certain scenes. It just was very strange looking. And it doesn't happen throughout the whole movie, but it does happen in a couple scenes. And it was just a really odd thing that didn't happen in the black and white version on the 4K or on the standard Blu-ray. The standard Blu-ray actually has the black and white and the color version on it. So that's nice. But it was just a strange thing that there was some issues with one but not the other. It's very odd. Now, as for sound quality, this does come with a 5.1 DTS HD master audio track on the 4K and the standard Blu-ray. And I will say, it sounded great. The dialogue is crystal clear. There is a lot of dialogue in this movie. It's very well placed and everything. The surrounds are only used in a couple scenes where there's street chatter, street noise. There's a restaurant scene where the surrounds are used fairly well to kind of give a little background noise of people clattering their plates and silverware and stuff like that. But mainly it's the left, right, and center speakers that everything will come out of. The music sounded incredible. This has a hell of a soundtrack. and the music just sounded absolutely fantastic on that audio track. I didn't really have to mess with the audio levels in this. They were pretty excellent. I didn't have to go up and down with the volume. I kind of left it at my normal level, and it sounded great. So great job there with the audio. Now, there aren't many special features on here, but there are really three big ones. There's a full-length audio commentary with the director and writer and curator, Julia, I might mess up this last name, Diagnolo Valen. I hope I didn't mess that up too bad. And then there's also a new interview with Jeffrey Wright. And it's just a one-on-one interview, but you can really tell that he loved playing this part. And he seems like a really cool dude. He gives a lot of really nice insights and even some pretty emotional attachments that he talks about to this film. And it was just great. It's really cool hearing his experiences and working with some of the massive stars that worked on this film, because this was really his first big role on screen. And he is such a phenomenal actor. So I'm really glad that he's gone on to do really big things. He's just a phenomenal guy, and it was a great interview. The other special feature that's on here is an episode of The Charlie Rose Show from 1996 with the director and David Bowie, and that was a lot of fun. It's very insightful. Again, the little arguments that start between the director and Bowie are really interesting. The back and forth with Charlie Rose is really great. It's kind of funny because at one point, Julian and Bowie start smoking. And I just thought that was really, really interesting that these guys were just allowed to smoke on air. It was a very different time back then. But it's a great little segment there, and it's the full episode. It's like almost an hour long. So that was a nice touch. And there's also two theatrical trailers, the original and the re-release trailer. So what did I think of Basquiat here from the Criterion Collection? I think it was a really great 4K transfer. As I mentioned, the Dolby Vision and everything, the black and white version just looks incredible. I don't know whether or not I like it, but it looks incredible. Your mileage may vary. It's very beautiful looking. Does it take away from the film? I don't know, but I do like the fact that you definitely focus more on the story and the characters rather than the surroundings. It's an interesting thing. I probably said interesting about 500 million times in this video, but it is. It's a very different take on this film. You may like it, you may not. It's great looking. The color version, again, looked fantastic, except for some really strange artifacting issues, this haziness that happens on and off throughout the film. It was very, very weird. But you do get both versions in this set, along with some really cool special features. It's nice. I'm glad I picked it up at 50% off. If you want to pick this up, then I'll leave a link in the description below that goes to Amazon. Again, I think it's a great film. It's very well done, but it's not for everybody, so just keep that in mind. Well, that's it for today for Kavanaugh's Corner. I wish you guys all the very best. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel too, so I can keep bringing you more reviews like this. It really means a lot to me. The channel is growing so fast as of late, and I thank you all for coming back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Until next time, please stay safe, keep collecting, and take it easy. Oh, and here's to hoping that you get your 15 minutes of fame.